You are never going to believe this, because I didn't believe it either. As you know, I continuously talk about red blood and moss. And I say there's something in the red blood that actually is the moss. The moss grows from the blood, not it grows on the blood, it grows from something that's in the blood. And I'm pretty sure this is a correct conclusion. And I'm showing you these two fingertips right here. I'm just getting ready to do the DNA test on this one. So I'm looking for a good spot to get DNA, and I see this hole right here, which is right above where all the artery stuff was. And I'm going to push this back right over the top of it, and we're going to look at it in a microscope, which is right up there. All right, where do you see this? That is an artery. All right, now, as you can see, you see all the red and blood and all that stuff, that's tissue. That's where the artery exploded out of, because this is a meteorite. Now watch this. I freaked out when I saw this. Look over here. It's moss. There's moss right there. You see that? It's moss growing inside of this freaking meteorite. I couldn't believe it. When I saw it, I just absolutely went crazy. That's as close as I can get to it. Now, I was going to drill that out right in that spot, because I could see there's a ton of red blood here. But I'm not going to, because I don't want to damage that moss. So I'm going to take another spot. I just freaked out when I saw that. You see? Hold on, let me zoom right in there. You see that? That's moss growing out of there. Boy, did that freak me out. I can't believe it. But I'm telling you, it has to be coming out of the blood. And here's why. Let me show you why I say that. Now, that spot with the moss, that's not the only place. It's saturated with blood all over this thing. It was the easiest way to get to the center of the mass. But I'm going to go through this side. I'll show you in a second. It's just completely saturated with blood. And as soon as I put a little water on there, it just rehydrates. Now see, this is the outside edge, which is the membrane that surrounds it, basically. And that inside here is literally just like blood. I should be able to go right down into that spot right there and get out raw red blood. Right out of there. I get it out of everywhere, but I need to go deep, because here's the problem. Look at this. I mean, there's nothing but biology here. It's just amazing. And this is the outside edge, and this is where, this must be a tendon, or it's a strap of one nature or another. You see it? And that's right in between this, which is the matrix of the fleshy sort of stuff. You see all the little white fibers in there? It actually could be bone, hard to say. But there's enough biology in here that we can get something out of there, I can guarantee you that. Well, we'll see. It depends. If it cooked up too hot, it's not going to give you anything. But that's what I was just looking at right here. That's the whole fingertip. And it is exactly the same as the terrestrial one. They are identical. Look at them side by side. Now I'll show you this one now in the microscope and all the fibers. But that side here does not blow out. You see the vein right there, that black spot? The vein up here, and the vein up here, they don't blow out. Same up on the end, they do not blow out. See that little hook there? This little hook here, same hook. You see how it comes up to here? Same thing. See how it comes over this side? Same exact thing. You see over on this side, same exact thing. Only this one just bled out. This is blood. And at the tip, that little round spot at the end, that's blood too. That's the way fingers are. They have artery, 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 and then it passes over to vein, 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 and comes back up to get recharged. This one just leaked out. Terrestrial. This one boiled, and when it came through space, it cooked hot enough to explode the red, wet blood. It had to be blood wet. All right, these two are, this is a fingertip, that's a fingertip. This one is from Earth. This one came through as a meteorite. And it's just a giant's fingertip. It's what it is. And that's where the tendon's attached. Look how perfect that is, the circles. Everything cooked off, all the meaty stuff, and it left the construction of the central core, which is identical to this. There's almost no difference whatsoever. It's just this one's bigger, and it exploded, and this one just leaked. Now, first thing I'm going to do is show you the outside surface and how it's constructed, and then I'll show you this one where it's cooked off. But I think I found a couple spots still has the fibers. And we're going to be looking at the fibers in the microscope. Then I'm going to turn it over, and we're going to look at where the blood was. All right, so you're ready. All right, this is basically the texture of heavy skin. This is on your fingers and your toes and so forth. This is a fingertip, all right? And it has this grippy stuff, tough. It's like a glove on your fingers and your feet and so forth. It's tough. And the same sort of stuff is on lungs, and anything that has to expand and stretch and rip and pull, it has to be tough with all these fibers, and that's what it is. Now, that's in its dry state, and you can see how quickly it will change into red. You see how quick it changes into red spots here and there? That's how quickly it will rehydrate. Let me dry it up with a little rag. Hold on. Hold the fort. All right, you see it? That is about as red and fleshy as you can get. The lower the light, the more you can see the red and stuff. You see how you can see the blood. Red, you need to be a low intensity of light, otherwise it, like see now, once you turn it up like this, you really can't see it all that well. You get it way down in the light, you can see the redness of the blood. But anyway, that's that terrestrial fingertip. This is the fabric you're looking for. Now I'm going to turn it over, and we're going to focus in on somewhere where the blood is. Right there is where that blood blob came out. You see it down in there? That's all blood. That's where that blob came out. That's the edge. And that's where all that blood was gushing out from that edge. And there's like two of them, and then one at the tip. Now let's put a little water and set on that and see what happens. Now we need a little light. She sucked it up instantaneously. That's all blood leaking out from there. Now here's the other one that down a little further. There's this one. Now that's without any water on it. Let me turn the lights down. You see it? Now I'm going to put a little water on it. Let's do the same sort of stuff. It's just all blood in there. And then it comes over to here, up to where the skin is. This is the skin. And then we come down right into the area where all that blood is leaking out. Right there, and then we go off to the edge. So, what I was just showing you is here. Let me turn it up. What you were just looking at is here was the one blood blob, and here is the other blood blob. That's what we were just looking at. Now, I am going to drill into this somewhere. I don't know where to get a sample from this. All right, and then I'm going to drill into this one, and I'll probably drill somewhere in there pretty deep, because this was cooked. Although once it exploded, it doesn't look like it didn't char this at all. So I have a good feeling that all we got to do is get inside in there, maybe that far. And I got a good drill, a masonry drill, and I got all my cleaning utensils and everything. I got the alcohol and clean, brand new, out of the box wipes. And I'm going to wipe down all of that stuff and drill a hole down into this and this, each one individually, and get a swab of that one. And then to do the next one very clean everything down, do the next one, get a swab of that one. And then we'll see, is there any, to me, they're both the same. Although this one didn't come through space. Now, let's see if we can find any of those white fibers. And I think I did find some somewhere that were just out of the way of being cooked, because they cook off easily. And see there's all kind of straps coming down here to latch that fingertip in so you can do all this stuff. And these are where the main tendons come down, the 3 main lockers, to make you be able to move around like that. Well, anyway, we're going to get that. Now, let me see if I can find a spot. This is going to take a while, so I won't hold you. I'll find a spot, and then I'll show you. All right, what you're going to be looking at is like a little divot area. It's scorched up in here, and then there's a little pocket in there that didn't get hit much. That's what we got. That's as close as you're going to get to that other for something that came through space and cooked. But this gives me a lot of hope to say that this whole thing did not get heated up extensively. That is pretty fresh, and those fibers didn't cook. Usually the fibers just cook right off. Usually they just turn black where they were getting hit really hard. Anyway, so now we at least know that the fibers are here, and it's basically the same. I got to get the DNA, that's all. Now, I showed you this moss grows all over red blood, wherever there's red blood, and it's down inside this fingertip, and I'm sure this thing came through space. It cooked off, and that's the only reason it would cook off like that and then explode the red blood, literally exploded out through here. And again, we're going to find out, but this moss growing in there absolutely freaked me out. And you see all these balls? Those are the interstitium balls from just some gigantic creature, and every single one of them has turned green. And they are everywhere. And every one of them is green. Every single one of them. That didn't just be a plague to turn them every green. They had to be ready to turn green already, all set to turn green. All they needed was a little thawing out and some sunlight, and they popped. All those balls I just showed you are from this area right here, this layer. They just discovered this layer 2018. They agreed that it's there. You see all those balls? They're everywhere in the human body. Everywhere you have to stretch and move, and you have to stretch and move virtually everywhere. And then when they're from giant creatures, after everything erodes away, you end up with the balls. And that's what they look like when they're all attached, and the balls are all attached to the straps. This stuff's cheap. It just goes away. And you end up with the balls everywhere. And this is exactly identical to this over in the United Kingdom. And that's skin of a huge creature. This is the flesh underneath, and these are the interstitium balls that are in this flesh. It just erode out, and then the mud is the flesh. Flesh and blood. Here, everything eroded and they all washed away. Those are interstitium balls. Milky marbles. All right, I'm going to leave it at this today, but I'm going to set this up for all the DNA tests and all that. I got a couple of them done so far, and I'll get a couple of them done today. I'll do 2, 3 at a time. And then, you know, I got a dozen of them to do. I'll pick the best ones. But this is going to be very interesting, what we find from here. And again, when I do this, I will do it very clean. I'll clean all the tools and gloves and all that stuff. I'll even wear a mask. So, but it's once you get deep down inside of it and you swab around, you'll see. It's not going to be contaminated. If it is, they'll know. If it is, well, anyway, it's not going to be contaminated. Okay, I am going to leave it at this for today. Now, I have my gloves, my mask, my cleaning equipment, my alcohol. I got the specimens. I got the drill out there in place. I'm going to clean it right on spot, right there, just before I drill it, wearing all my accoutrements. Now, what am I going to be looking for? I'm looking for blood. I'll be drilling probably right down here on the side of that blood. I mean, it's saturated with blood. Now, these are fingertips. All right, but as I said, any skin, which is like grip skin and really flexible skin, in your fingertips, your lungs, that's tough stuff. And that's, I showed you all the fibers, same thing as this. It's the same thing. And that is a lung, and nobody can deny that. It's been DNA tested in CAT scan and everything else. So, but the fiber is the same as this. So the next time around, I'm going to be drilling holes in these and extracting a sample. What I do is I drill a hole. And I was going to drill 2 holes. It's not necessary. I'm going to drill one good-sized hole. Blow it all out with the compressor. So I'm not going to blow it out with my mouth or anything. And then I am going to bring it in here, and I'll take the sample swab, and I'll take a little bit of moisture on it. I'll put it deep in that hole and swab it around. But before that, I hit it with the compressor, and it's a strong compressor. It's a big, big, big tank. You know, I think I got 150 pounds. So it'll be clean, and hopefully we won't get too much residue on there. All we need is cells. So we'll get what we get. But some of these actually could have raw blood in them. I mean, seriously, you want to see something? That's a lung. You want to see a lung? Here's your lung for you. All right, this one here, my buddy Gary Evans over in England saw this in a mud flat. He saw this rock, and he saw that. I think he saw something that turned him on. I don't know what he saw, to be honest with you. Long time ago. So that's enough of that one. Now, what did he see when he cracked it open? He saw this. This was the stone part of it. When he cracked it open, he saw that's inside. These are all the tubing of the lung, and that's the black blood and the red blood and all that. So then he put some water on it and broke it in, and there it is right there. That's a lung, like the lung I showed you, smacked right in half, and you're looking down all through the tubing where all the air flows through to get the oxygen. And then he let it dry out for about a week, and it just turned into powdery dust. When they come out, sometimes they'll turn into solid stone, but if it comes out with a lot of salt in it, this is in a salt flat, and then it doesn't turn to stone, it just dissolves. There's a million different things that can happen. You have to understand chemistry. You have to understand nucleophilic invasion and substitution, transition metals, oxidation states, membranes. You got to understand the biology. It's top to bottom. You don't understand it, you don't understand it. And nobody understands it that I can find, except me. So we'll see if this thing coming through space, which I say that's a human fingertip from a giant. Just like that is a gigantic heart. You see that? And they went to Bennu, and they went inside and took a sample, brought it back, and it's heart sarcomeres with membranes. That's what the heart looks like, and there's what psyche looks like, because it got too close to the sun. or somewhere, and it cooked it on the surface and actually turned it to metal, just like it does an iron meteorite, of which I have a couple here, and one of them still has blood in it. I have all this stuff. Anybody can test it. I have it. It's just been ignored and denied, and I've been demeaned and put in a box where, labeled crazy. And I am the only one with the evidence. They have no evidence. I have all the evidence. And that not only is a heart, this is what they took back from there, and it's here on Earth now. These are heart sarcomeres, these little squares. And they're here, a layer of membrane, a layer of heart sarcomeres, another layer of membrane, and another layer of heart sarcomeres. Those are the heart sarcomeres. This came back from space. It's here on Earth right now. They've had it for a year, and we're going to be studying this for years and years and years. Why don't you examine it right now? I bet you get DNA out of it. I can almost absolutely guarantee you. Because when they hit this, instead of just nibbling off the surface, they went way down inside. They didn't realize. They blasted down inside, and they grabbed a hold of the guy's heart and pulled a chunk out of it and brought it back. That's an actual muscle. You don't have to be a cardiac surgeon to understand this. This is hearts. These are all hearts. And this doesn't only have craters in it, it has tubes sticking out of it, just like this one does. It has tubes sticking out of it. You see the tubes and another tubes. You see these different colors? That's all the colors of blood. These are the valves. This is the tendon that locks the muscle in to the body of the heart, and it twists like a rubber band. That's how it doesn't go well. Anyway, that's muscle. Now, what is this? I said they came back with a sample. What did they come back with? This right here. In between two layers, what they call the phosphate surprise. They never expected this. These layers, there was the membrane coating the sarcomeres. And can I show that in a regular heart? Absolutely. There they are right there. Same thing, identical. There's the phospholipid layers, the phosphate surprise, and these are the sarcomeres. They have them here on Earth, and I can almost positively guarantee you, almost, that there will be DNA in here. I don't see why not. When they hit, they went down inside. They didn't just scratch the surface. They went down inside where a whole bunch of debris, they said, went out, and they went through that debris, and they hit where they can grab a piece of muscle, and it came back with the muscle. And that is muscle. I don't care what anybody says. They can study that for 100 years, and it's still a muscle. And here's what sarcomeres are. That's them. And that's what sarcomeres are. That's them. And these are what sarcomeres are. That's them. And these are what hearts are. That's them. Let's get off this game of just using us to extract money or run around and walk around in circles. That stuff's been here for over a year on Earth. It's, I believe, the University of Arizona, I'm not sure of this, but I believe they've been put in charge of distributing that stuff to everybody. And I can't get through to anybody. I've tried several times, and it's been over a year now. I told them, I said, that's going to be, and I actually gave them all of the chemistry of blood, and I wasn't sure where they landed, so I gave them all three: the whole blood, plasma, and to basically use blood, and the quantities and the types. And there's going to be almost 100% transition metals in there, because that's what blood is saturated with. These metals, they are the oxidation states that drag around chemistry through using ligands, primarily transition metals, but there's a ton of them. And there's no reason they can't test this, absolutely none whatsoever. We spent billions and billions and billions of dollars on this. I would think that we would want to get something for our money, not just to just say, don't worry about it, go have a good time, just enjoy yourself. The money, oh, no problem. And basically that's what's happened. And here we are fighting about shutting the government down because there's no money. These are the people that have been sucking it up, and these are the ones that are really a problem is the national labs. We found those particles 10 years ago, the exact same ones they found at Fermilab and CERN. I even went to the University of Geneva, didn't physically go there, online, took a course, discussed this with the professors, showed them all about this. We had a big discussion about, you can't see those particles. Roger, no, that's impossible. I said, no, it isn't. We use light. You guys are using protons. When you hit the CMOS, you break it. I said, somehow you got to stop it from hitting with these big chunks, because we're hitting it with one little particle. When they hit things, they hit them with like chunk of this. And it just destroys it. It's like hitting your house with a bulldozer. Well, we use this. We started with this. We started with these particles. They found these. They said, these are the smallest particles that exist. Well, they make up light. Yes, I agree with that. We started with them, so we don't break the CMOS. And I told them that, and guess what they did? A couple of years later, they shut CERN down. I think it was a couple of years or more, to upgrade, to be able to use CMOS so they could see the same stuff we were seeing. Before, they were flooding it with energy or extracting energy, and they had all kinds of, they called it the observer effect. No, they were pumping in light into it, which is nothing more than these particles. So now they had all kinds of problems. Or they were extracting something, energy out of it. Like let the particles pass by and see what they look like and feel like. Well, when they do that, they remove the energy. So they don't see the real thing. So CMOS was the solution, because that is an absorber of energy coming at you. You don't have anything to do with interacting with it. So there is no observer effect. So when they listened, they finally listened, and then they upgraded CERN. And I'll take credit for it, yes. I told them what to do. And then what they did, they hardened the window, probably. I don't know exactly what they did, but you can look it up. They hardened the window so that only particles somewhat in that range could hit the CMOS. Otherwise, you damage the CMOS. They were right. But I said, you just hitting them with too big of particles, hitting them gigantic things, like bazookas. I'm shooting like a BB gun. A tiny thing like this, it's not going to hurt. It might have a lot of energy, but it's not going to smash something. So anyway. Okay, this is something I don't like to discuss, but we need to discuss this and get it out in the open. Now, the modern internet-based flat earth theory movement took hold during primarily 2014 to 2016. Fueled by conspiracy theory communities online. Now, let me explain to you. Does mainstream science support the existence of God? Absolutely not. It says it does not specifically address the existence of God. Science, by definition, is concerned with understanding the natural world through observation, experimentation, evidence-based reasoning. It focuses on phenomena that can be empirically tested and observed, which was my mud fossils, which I discovered in 2012. By 2014, I was screaming, why the hell won't you people pay attention to this scientifically validated evidence? I ended up getting CAT scans and DNA tests and everything, still would not pay attention. This is total nonsense. And what happened was the flat earth people around 2014 said, Roger proved the earth is flat because he found giants. No, that was not what happened. I prove I found giants. I say to people, I said, look from the space station. I can't tell you what the earth was like long ago. I can't tell you how these gigantic creatures lived on earth. This is what we need to study. But in order to study it, we can't make it into a joke. And that's what happened after the flat earth took over. And originally, when I first put my stuff up, it took off like a rocket ship, and then boom, right down the tube, because academia said, if you believe this guy, you have to believe the earth is flat. And right, well, yep, the earth is flat. And they never turned around from that. And they just continued to slaughter my channel, made it into a joke, and it just went off the page. Let's talk about my hero, Immanuel Velikovsky. He wrote Worlds in Collision. This is 1950. That's 75 years ago. And he claimed that exactly the same things I claim. And I did most of my my original research based around his explanations of what they had recorded in the past. I didn't dismiss it. I looked into it and I said, wow, this stuff is real. And that's what he found too. And it was about Earth being almost hit by Venus and all of the stuff that I talk about, earthquakes, floods, extreme climate changes, all this. And mainstream science destroyed him. This was 1950. He wrote the book Worlds in Collision. I wrote a book in 2015, it came out early 2016, called Mudfossils, Velikovsky, and Minds in Collision, because that's what happened. The minds of academics cannot handle the truth, just like other people that have a belief in anything that they want to believe in. They just can't handle the truth. It doesn't matter what the truth is, as long as it supports their side of it. It's exactly like politics. Does not matter. And this is what I'm finding today right across the board. Every institution, every academic place, I mean, all of the people that are in power have now abandoned truth as their guiding force. It's stay in power. Now this goes back to 1950. Emanuel Velikovsky was a highly regarded academic, a good friend of Einstein, and went around the world and collected all the data on what the ancient peoples and cultures said. He went to the libraries, the museums, the cultural centers, talked to all of the elders and you know, monuments and museums and everywhere. And he compiled that they all had a very similar story about a terrible catastrophe that happened approximately 1500 BC. And the dates lined up and the events lined up. A terrible, huge comet-like object almost hit Earth, and it swished all the waters of the Earth and mixed everything up, and had a gigantic flood and all kinds of volcanoes, and it literally wrenched the Earth and flooded everything. And it accounts for many, many of the things that were in these ancient texts, including the Bible. And I have gone through my research, the mud fossil research, and verified that yes, these things did happen. And it created the Triassic layer, which is 3 layers. Worldwide, everywhere in the world, around the globe. Red bed, which means the boiled flesh and blood from creatures boiled off first and settled to the bottom. Then the gray clays and red clays above that was the other parts, the organs, you know, cellulose, all kinds of things. But primarily the first thing to lay down was the red bed, because all it was blood and flesh, boiled right out. And it boiled because the oceans boiled. And MIT just did something about this. They say, yes, the oceans boiled, but it was way back in the Triassic. Well, the Triassic was just recent. I have my property, everything I have on my property, which is Triassic, and it is known to be a Triassic era, and right down the street is the Dinosaur State Park, where they have all the footprints of these dinosaurs in the same layer as mine, only I have a human footprint from one that stepped through all 3 layers at the exact same time they were laid down. So the Triassic did not last a real long time. It lasted for the duration of that flood. The red bed, the gray clay, the black cap. And I can prove all these things. Now, what happened to Velikovsky? He came up with the same sort of situation. We had a disaster, a catastrophe, created these things, but he didn't know about the mud fossils. So he didn't have the empirical evidence. He didn't have the material stuff in his hand, which I do. And my stuff is DNA tested and CAT scan and everything else. And I came out with this I came out really heavy about 2013, 2014. By 2015, I was screaming. And I was really getting kind of nasty. I was bitter. Everybody was treating me like I was insane, my family, everybody. They just thought they didn't want to be around me, distanced themselves, just like the academics distance like this here. Publisher's response from academia to a highly regarded academic guy that did the work. Initially a publisher by a major publishing house, which was Macmillan. After facing pressure from the scientific community, Macmillan dropped the book. Well, was it a successful book? Okay, so Velikovsky writes a book. He lays out all of the evidence, and I mean it was evidence. It's a very, very well done book. And I said, was Worlds in Collision on the Times best-selling list for 11 weeks in a row? Yes, it was. His book, Worlds in Collision, which you probably have never heard of, by Immanuel Velikovsky, was indeed a bestseller and appeared on a New York Times bestseller list for 11 consecutive weeks. He put it out and everybody was going crazy. Wow, this is amazing. Despite the strong scientific opposition to his theories, the book was incredibly popular with the public. It sparked widespread interest. Well, guess what happened? They made Macmillan drop the book. So, and then everybody went against it, and then the professors and everything said, you start talking about this stuff, we're going to fail you. This is ridiculous. You people are insane. If you start talking about this insane stuff, you're done. And it crushed him. And then Carl Sagan got on with his Cosmos series and made a big joke out of it. Oh, he was really, really arrogant and nasty. I have very, very little respect for him. I don't like to talk ill of the dead, but I just wonder where his resting place is going to be for going against reality. And then they took it off. It remains controversial. No, it doesn't. It remains unspoken of. Velikovsky's theories remain controversial, despite its popularity. Well, the same thing's happening to me now. And I have been destroyed by the people that think they're helping me. This flat earth thing took over in 2014, based around my work showing giants. When I showed the giants, 2 days later, it was Roger Spur says the world is flat because he proved it was giants. The Bible's all true. There's nothing but flat earth. And I mean, it was an attack of unbelievable proportion from the flat earthers. And the academics ate it up. They loved it. And I started backlashing against the flat earthers. I said, don't do this stuff here. This is crazy. And they came and attacked the hell out of me and destroyed my channel. I think the academics were just sitting around laughing. And ever since then, it's just been, I've been in that box of flat earth crazy people. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be nasty, but it is. If you can't look from the space station and see the earth is round, you got an issue, you got a problem, a real problem with you. And then no, everything they show you, it's all computer graphics. No, it's not. I know what's going on out there, and I know we have been to Mars, and I've seen all that stuff. I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm talking about, I do the research. So don't tell me that the earth is flat and we've never been off the earth and the water would splash off the earth if it was spinning. That's total insanity. And academic eats that up. You people are destroying God. You have put people away from God, not brought to God. I'm trying to bring them to God. And if you feel like this, I'm a bad guy because I don't say the earth is flat, well, go on your way. I have no, don't argue it here because it's just nonsense. If you say, I don't see a round earth spinning around from the space station, and you can't accept those two basic facts, there's no reason for you to be here. No reason whatsoever. Go somewhere else. That's fine, I have no problem with that. But don't bring it here. I don't want to block people. I feel terrible every time I do. But I'm just going to, away they go. I cannot have it, because once they start, they never let up. It's unbelievable. It's like a, and they were the most incredibly reactive people I've ever seen about something that just, there's no question is wrong. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry for those people that feel that way. But if you think you're supporting God by saying the earth is flat, you just lost. I'm sorry, that's just a fact. Okay, so I discovered the mud fossils 2012 or so, and I was very, very frustrated. And by 2015, I decided to just write the book and confront academia and try to get this straightened out. I figured it would go over quickly. So I wrote this book called Mudfossils and Velikovsky and Minds in Collision. And I put it up on Amazon for 99 cents. You can't get a book of it. You just get the text. And here's what it says. I really attacked pretty hard. The discovery of mud fossils a few years ago. Now this is in 2016, early 2016. They have it listed here as February 2016. This book came out. But I said the discovery of mud fossils a few years ago. So that would be like 2012, 2013, 2014. Led on a journey that can only be described as wild and crazy. The evidence uncovered is discussed, and many links to videos prove the claims that were made. At this point, I had all of this done. I had even DNA tests and CAT scans. Hundreds of samples were eventually completely scrutinized, many scientifically tested in a variety of ways. DNA tests were positive for human mitochondrial DNA. 3 tests were done. Contamination was ruled out. All negative control tests were in fact negative for contamination. 7 CAT scans by Jesse Garant and Associates, the best people in the world, and donated. Jesse, I never thank you enough, and Fabio. 7 CAT scans showed exquisite vascular and bone details in the DNA-proven specimens. One 50-foot tall giant fingertip and another DNA-verified fingertip was from a human giant, which would have been over 200 feet tall. I'm going to show you ones right now. That's a hair follicle. Where do you see this? In addition, there was lots of chemistry and lab work done. I also recreated the chemical process of mud fossilization. I made some. And I'm being ignored when not attacked because reality is still not a concern in academia, and for at least 60 years has been the practice as done with Velikovsky's research. They destroyed him, absolutely destroyed his life. 11 weeks in a row on #1 on the time best-selling list, and he destroyed him. They forced Macmillan to take it, to stop publishing or whatever they did. They went after him with a vengeance and just made everybody feel like if they talk about him, they're in trouble, especially the people that are supposed to be our teachers and the ones that are going to school. Can we discuss this? No, no, no. You discuss that and you're going to be sitting in the back of the class, you're going to end up with a failure, everybody's going to think you're an idiot because you would not say what we told you to say. All right, mud fossils. I was getting bitter at this point. I was really getting pretty damn bitter. And I'm telling you right now, I try to present a friendly face, but it's harder every day. I said the mud fossil specimens I present are physical support for Emanuel Velikovsky. I spelled his name wrong, it was the I. Historical masterpiece of 1950. Velikovsky read, studied, and listened. He read and studied and listened to all the ancient things and observed. The stories were the same all over the globe, about the same events at the same dates, observed by many and recorded by eyewitnesses at the time. These are the eyewitness accounts. They're talking about battles in the heaven and oh, these guys are crazy. It can't happen. Well, we dismiss these recorded historical documents as silly, crazy stories, not at all rooted in reality. Scary stories? Yes. Silly? No. Reality? Absolutely. And I have the proof now. Velikovsky was literally attacked. And that will stop right now. Boy, am I tough. I'm going to go after these guys. They beat the shit out of me. The academic bullies and book burners are about to be exposed in these pages. Now the fun begins. I wish he was here now. Well, I wish he was, I can tell you that. But nothing happened. They just pushed me deeper into the woods. When I first put up my first mud fossil channels, they were going wild. And then all of the flat earthers came out with mud fossils. It all proves that the earth is flat. And then everybody said, "Ooh, this is crazy." And they just stopped. And it was just, and then I was attacked by the flat earthers because I was saying, the earth is not flat. Just look from the space station. There's no space station. Those are all computer graphics there. It's all done in Disneyland. And it went on and on and on. And it just, I couldn't keep them off my page. So I just looked foolish. That's why I have such animus. I do. I can't help it. I'm bitter against people that come up and try to talk about flat earth. I'm not going to allow it. I don't want to block you. I just don't want to be destroyed over and over and over by this stuff. All right, and this is when it happened. In particular, the year 2014, often cited as the key moment flat earth content started gaining significant traction because of my discovery of the giants. They used that to launch this flat earth nonsense. And then they would just crush me. And they know, it's so frustrating to do that every day. And originally they would post 25, 30 times in a row. Earth is flat, Earth is flat, Earth is flat. You're an insane, all kinds of, they were the nastiest people I ever saw in the beginning. Because I wouldn't say the Earth was flat. And I'm never going to say it's flat because it's not flat. Somebody sent me this the other day. This is up on the Great Lakes or something. They're putting up these wind farms. I guess they do injure a lot of birds. I don't know. Now, another thing that suffered from my research is dipole electron flood theory. Nobody will talk to me about that because they say, well, that guy's a crazy person. He thinks the Earth is flat. I don't think the Earth is flat. I have shown my evidence, and I'm going to show you right now. You get any anatomist in the world to discuss this with me, and then we'll talk about mud fossils. All right, I'm sorry. This upsets me. I got to be honest with this because I have to go over and over and over again to try to get people to understand the reality. This is a muscle. That is muscle. It's a pili erector muscle, and it makes your hair stand up on end when you get scared. Now, this is actually the shaft, the root, coming up, and it comes up through the top and right out the top. It's a hair ball, a hair root ball. Now, that right there is this goopy stuff. It's the sebaceous gland. You see it? Now, it would have been higher up the tube, but the hair is broken off, and it slid down here at one point anyway. It's all down here instead of way up here. Whether it was down here in the beginning, I don't know, but it's down there now. Now, around there, you can see clearly the skin. And you can also see the hair shaft coming up. Now, guess what? This has a flat spot on one side. And I thought that was pretty interesting when I saw it. And I mentioned it in one of my videos, and a bunch of people said, oh, flat-sided hair is for curly-haired people. And I said, ooh, that's interesting. Now this is, and apparently it is. It's true, as far as I know. Now, this is pre-flood, and this is from some kind of a giant, maybe from a curly-haired creature, a curly-haired goat or something, I don't know. Whatever it is, has curly hair. Now, but it's flat-sided. And it also has the two little dots right there, which is the hair papilla. Now, I don't know if there'd be any DNA in this, but I would assume there would be. And where I would look for is right there. I drill right into that muscle attachment because there's going to be some cells in there. Now, you may not get any bloodish blood, but you should be able to get some cells out of here. And you got to drill. You can't just take it and wave it off the surface and say, oh boy, I found some DNA. No, you got to go inside. I'm drilling these things. This one here, here, you see this? I'm looking at it right now to find the best spot to drill. And there's a couple of spots up in here with blood in it where the tibia comes down. That round bone right at the top comes down. And then this stuff here indicates where blood was. That different texture there. And there's a couple, I think the artery comes right there. And then of course the fibula sits on the side. This is a no-toe foot. It's not even like, it's a human-ish. Is it Homo-Sapien? I don't know. That's what we're going to find out. Okay, my friends, I know how dangerous this is. I know where I am headed for. And I know this is going to be extremely contentious. There is just no other way. But it has to be dealt with. Now, here's the issue. They're talking about a sun circling a flat Earth is hard to reconcile with 24 hours of sunlight in Antarctica. Apparently, they're saying, well, we can prove this Earth is not flat because the sun stays up for 24 hours in Antarctica. and it doesn't anywhere else. Well, I don't care how they want to prove it. It's just, you could look from the space station. Why can't people just look from the space station? Why is that such a big, hard thing to do? Well, there's no space station. They never went up there. That's all lies. This is the kind of mentality that destroys reality. Wow, that's a cool thing. The kind of mentality that destroys reality. Yes, and it's on both sides. It's the PhDs and it's the flat earth people. And I am a scientific material person. I'm in the middle. These guys can't handle it, and those guys can't handle it. So they push me to the middle, and the middle happens to be the woods. Okay, my friends, I am in a real world of hurt here today. I am going into the jaws of the beast. And what jaws are those? Those are the jaws between academia and flat earthers. Now, this flat earth thing, I'm going to tell you, it's going to get very contentious. A lot of people are going to take a lot of, Okay, my friends, this is going to be interesting. I had discovered the mud fossils and giants in about 2012. By 2014, I was really screaming on the internet about these giants, and I started to get a big following right away, instantly. And then I was crushed by academia by using flat earth. They said, this guy must believe the earth is flat. He's talking about giants miles tall, and which I did. I as you can see, this is a hair follicle. I think I showed it to you, or will. And it's from a giant creature. Giant creatures, you have no idea how big they are unless you've been here following me, because I am suppressed dramatically. I'm put them in a box that is a non-reality box, but I have all the evidence to support my stuff. So all I can say is, if you want to stay here and listen to the things that I have to present, I don't want this distraction. Because if you say we've never been off the earth, and the earth is flat, it has four corners, it sits on pillars, and I have heard everything. Water would go spinning out into space if we were spinning, and all of these things are just impossible. And all you got to do is look from the space station. If you can't expect reality, you're not in the right place. All I do is reality. I do material existence. You can't tell me that there's no spinning on the earth. It's very frustrating. And then they just went out and did some proof on it about the earth not being flat. They showed it, and all the flat earth people said, wow, we didn't expect this. It apparently isn't flat. Well, the earth isn't round either. I never said the earth was round. The earth is a little bit compressed like this. It's an oblate, I forget what they call it, oblate sphere, oblate. It's spinning, and that means the middle edges go out further. And the center doesn't spin as fast, so it doesn't have as much centrifugal outward force. So you end up with a earth that's, not like that, but it's not totally round either. I can go along with that. Okay, my friends, this is going to be kind of harsh for some people, but it's reality. Now, I have been posting about mud fossils and giants since I discovered them in about 2012. And at that time, I was showing these, and even like here, this is our size, but it's been DNA tested, CAT scanned, and all that stuff. And I had all kinds of mud fossils here, and I have ones that are almost human, and I'm going to be getting DNA tests done on this one here, on all of them. I got 12 different samples, and there's several different human-ish ones and a bunch of different giant ones, and I also know some of them already. I know they're human because I had them DNA tested, but I had them PCR DNA tested just to see if they were mitochondrial human DNA, and yes, it was Homo-Sapien. in two regions, D-loop and some other one. And they know that it's a human. He said, no question whatsoever. And he says, I'll stand behind that test. However, you do have to understand, I was the one that extracted the DNA. And I show you how I extracted it as I'm doing these ones that I'm going to be taking. Now, immediately, I was destroyed after putting all this stuff out around 2013 or so. And by 2014, I was considered an insane person because flat earth people started to take over and say, Roger proved the earth is flat. And I said, please stay away, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. And they came on and then they got nasty. And they said, you know, I was 20, 30 times in a row, they would put, Earth is flat, you're an idiot, the Earth is flat, what a jerk you are, Earth is flat, they had all kinds of names for me. And they're still doing it today. So academics just sat back and laughed. They said, yeah, we're going to destroy this guy, let the flat earthers destroy him, and they did. And that's what it is today, and Earth is not flat. All you have to do is look from the space station. And when you say there's no space station and there's everything's, you know, that just feeds on it. They love this stuff. You're just working for the devil. And I'm telling you, academia, as far as I'm concerned, they are as close to the devil as anything can possibly be. Okay, this is ChatGPT. Now, I just got something from a friend of mine who is looking at XAI or AIX, whatever it is. It's Elon Musk's AI site like this, and they give me a very good account. They're very nice to me there, and they used to be, but Chat turned around. Now, I asked, is there harsh criticism against the mudfossil theory? And I know there is. Yes, the mudfossil theory has faced harsh criticism from the scientific community. The theory proposed by a researcher named Roger Spurk, 2 R's, and others suggest that many geological formations, particularly large rock formations, actually the remains of ancient petrified giants or creatures, absolutely, rather than natural geological processes. Proponents, like us, claim that certain rock formations look like body parts. No, they are body parts. Feet, hands, heads, etc. of giant beings, and that these formations were once organic material turned to stone. Yes, by nucleophilic invasion and substitution brought on by the Great Flood and the silica-rich oceans. Now, reason for harsh criticism, lack of empirical evidence. I have more evidence than anybody. I am the one that has the evidence. There are no confirmed fossils of organic materials found within these formations. Well, I'll be having 12 DNA tests coming back very short. I already had 3 of them done. They just refuse to even examine it. Misinterpretation of geology. Yeah, you guys misinterpreted it, not me. Contradiction of established scientific understanding. You don't understand, that's why. I'm not contradicting anything, you just don't understand. Lack of peer-reviewed research, you won't do it, that's why. Publicity and media attention. Mudfossil theory gains some attention on social media platforms and alternative websites, but this attention has often been criticized for spreading misinformation, and they put you in an algorithm that crushes you, and pseudoscience. This attention has often been criticized. Believe me, when they want to criticize you now, they just put you in a box. Some proponents of the theory rely on anecdotal evidence, photographs of rock formations, speculative claims, rather than the rigorous testing and verification required by science. 3 DNA tests, 7 CAT scans, scientific validation of the whole thing, how the chemistry works, nucleophilic invasion and substitution through the fiber-filled network called the membranes. They do the same thing as the mud fossils as they do when they were alive. They let things go in and come back out, but they act as a seal. That's why these things, like this lung, Go get some anatomists. The problem is these people have no abilities other than to just repeat what they've been told to say. They're not biologists, they're not chemists, they're not physicists. They're just repeaters. This is a flat mud fossil, and it died in a great flood. And it was in such a condition that all the flesh boiled off and the body parts came apart on their fascia coatings. Literally all of them are like that. That's a giant human fingertip, and it's been DNA tested, CAT scanned, and everything. That's where the bone was. I broke a piece off of here so we can get down right into the blood right there. That's the vein blood. We're going to drill a piece out of there, or maybe I'll use the artery. This is the artery side, the red. The vein is the black. See that little round piece right there? That's the apical tuft. This is the bottom. That's the apical tuft attachment at the bottom. And this is where the tendons lock in right here. You need to get somebody that has some abilities. These people have no abilities. I never saw anything like it. All they have to do is, the only ability they have is to dismiss. That's a bonehead. Nobody can dismiss that. However, it still has the cartilage on there. That's unusual. And the only reason is because all the flesh and everything was boiled off, and then it started to solidify because of the silica-rich oceans. And I presented all this stuff to Yale years and years ago, 2012, 2013, and then they wrote the paper on it saying exactly what I said. And it's called Exceptional Preservation Due to Silica-Rich Oceans. That's what I said. And I know why my mud fossils were preserved is because of the fascia-facilitated fossilization. That paper was up on academia.edu in 2015. But because of the backlash by academia, they wouldn't let me publish anywhere. I have 45 papers that I decided, what the hell with them? I'll just publish them up on academia.edu. But nobody sees them, so it was just a waste of time. Well, not really. I got actually quite a few hits for academic papers. Now, but they still can't talk about it. You can't go back to your university and say, look what this guy found. You go back there and start talking about that, you're gone, you're done. And I don't care what you say, that's going to happen to you. You think I'm kidding? Try it. Now, I do find it interesting. They know everything that I've been doing, all of my different research, and they immediately attach it to my, because I was the first one to talk about it. Now, what do they say if I was right? What would change if the mud fossil theory by Roger Spurr with 2 R's was right? What would change? Okay, so they say Roger Spurr has no evidence. Well, Roger Spurr has more evidence than anybody in history has had, and it's open for investigation right now. So I said, what would change if Roger Spurr's theories of mud fossils was correct? They dropped one of the R's. If Roger Spurr's mud fossil theory were proven correct, it would represent a profound shift in our understanding of both geology and biology. The implications would be far-reaching and would challenge many established scientific concepts. Every one of them. Here are some of the major changes that would occur. These are only the major changes. Rewriting Earth's geological history. Reinterpretation of how rocks are formed, rock formations. All of this stuff. New understanding of fossilization. Well, it's actually not new. Hold on one second. See right here? This is not new. I reported all this to Yale University, Derek Briggs, who is part of this paper, and they call it Exceptional Preservation of Soft-Bodied Creatures. This just is some big name they gave them. Promoted by silica-rich oceans. That's because the siliceous ooze that coats the ocean floor came up during the impact of Venus to our atmosphere. All recorded by Velikovsky, dismissed and destroyed by academics. Now, this is not just one little area. This is worldwide. Now, they're saying this was the earliest fossils. This was before bones, before shells, before teeth, which is totally wrong. It says it occurs in this terminal layer worldwide, yet how the fossils are preserved remains controversial. No, I showed all this to Derek Briggs long before this. And now, they say this exceptional preservation of these creatures. Many of these fossils are anatomistically preserved as casts. No, they're mud fossilized. I'm not going to bother reading you this because it just makes it silly. But it says it was facilitated by high silica saturated states of the oceans. Yes. And they say they have no idea how that happened. No clue. I know exactly how it happened. We almost got hit. And you know what siliceous ooze is? Well, let me show you what they say it is. Okay, I don't remember whether I discussed this with you yet or not. But if I haven't, you can never get enough of it. I asked, what if Roger Spur's theories about mudfossil were correct? If they were proven correct, it would represent a profound shift in our understanding of geology and biology and really everything. I do remember explaining this, so let me go real fast through this. The implications would be literally on everything. Just take it for there. It would rewrite everything about Earth's geology and history and mythology and all that stuff. All the biology. There is nothing but biology, so forget all that stuff. Fossilization, we understand it. And Yale understands it too. They say they understand it, but they have no idea. Don't forget the siliceous ooze. Let me just show you that first, and then we'll finish up with this. All right, this is what caused all the silica-rich oceans, was because they can't account for it. It just happened. And what it is the siliceous ooze, which is silica. It's very dense and heavy. It's 2.5 times heavier than water. It sinks to the ocean floors. And it's located on a deep ocean floor. The siliceous ooze are the least common of the deep sea sediments. They really get right to the bottom and make up approximately 15% of the ocean floor. Oozes are defined as sediments which contain at least 30% skeletal remains of microorganisms, which is basically skin and stuff. Siliceous oozes are largely composed of the silica-based skeletons of microscopic marine organisms, such as diatoms and so forth. The key is they're siliceous. They're composed of silica. It's 2.5 times heavier than water. It's sunk to the ocean floors, and when we got almost hit, it supersaturated the waters, and that is what caused the solidification of the invasive molecules into mud fossils. The silica appears to have invaded through the membranes and created stability in these mud fossils. That's because you can see veins of quartz. Silica is quartz. SiO2. Listen to this. This other components of siliceous ooze near continental margins may include terrestrial-derived silica. It all came from this worldwide flood. And sponge spicules. Siliceous oozes are composed of skeletons made from opal silica, SiO2, silicon dioxide, which is the primary component. And then you have transition metals. You can have beautiful gems and all kinds of things. It's opposed to calcareous oozes. They're made from skeletons of calcium carbonate. There's all kinds of stuff. Silica is a bioessential element and is efficiently recycled in the marine environment. Whatever. It brought all this silica to the surface, and all of these things bonded to that silica and caused SiO2 and all kinds of varying little bits and pieces in with the silica dioxide. And they're called inclusions. And they have the silicon is similar to carbon. And carbon is a major part of the biology. And silicon, well, hold on a second. Hold the fort. Might as well make it obvious while we're here. All right, silicon is right above carbon. You see it? That means it has a similar bonding pattern to its outer electron configuration, which is the glue on outside of that silicon, has a similar glue to the carbon. So I think the silicon took in and replaced a lot of the carbon or attached to the carbon, whatever. But most of it's silicon dioxide. Now, also, remember phosphorus. The phosphorus is phospholipids. And when he boiled down in the Great Flood, the silicon working together, most of the phospholipids turned into feldspar, which is aluminum silicates. It boiled down from the phosphorus, which is daughter decays down into aluminum silicates, bonded with all kinds of other inclusions. Virtually everything, that's all completely bonded, coated by feldspar. Virtually all my stuff is coated by feldspar. That's feldspar. But I know what's actually in there. Almost all the rocks you find have a coating of feldspar around them. Wait a minute, I got one broken open around here. Here's one right here. You see that? That's not, well, it's feldspar, but that's not what this rock is. That's the bone of the rock right in the middle here. And I got to look at this in a microscope, but I'm pretty sure that's a tip of a finger. They're saturated with blood, and they have a thick skin. And that's what this is. But once they, and you can see, actually, you see bits of the bone here. Anyway, all of this stuff points to the fact that my mud fossils are real. I am showing real, and I'm showing the events as they occurred. Yale agrees with this. They have no disagreement with that. We present evidence from, they went to Australia. They could have walked 15 minutes down the street and I'm here. Present evidence about all this stuff. And they just got it wrong. They think it was just gooey little creatures before there was even any really creatures like us on Earth. I'm serious. That's what they say. There was no bones, well, hold on a second. Okay, now, don't forget, we're supposed to be working to get truth. I presented all my stuff to Yale years before this, and this is Yale News, campus news, and this is from 2016, the same time that Yale announced their paper, this one about the exceptional preservation. And they're saying, well, we all figured it out. It's what they call Edicara biota. That just means nothing but nothing. All this is a name of the creatures. I call them mud fossils. Now, Earth's earliest community of complex sea creatures lived in a warm, slimy planetary petri dish that nurtured a broad array of exotic species. And they say there were nothing but slimy little things, like that would be all gooey and it wouldn't have any shell or anything. All right, now, Earth's earliest, they say this is the earliest things that lived, where a community of complex sea creatures lived in a warm, slimy planetary petri dish. Yet we likely wouldn't know about it at all if not for a quirk in the chemistry of ancient oceans. Well, what was that quirk? A Yale-led research team, no, I led that research team, and I gave my research to Yale, found that this, whatever they call it, is a collection of marine fossils found in sandstone, mud, around the world, which I told them was mud fossils. I presented all this, even the DNA and CAT scans and all this, a year before they wrote this paper. And I know why they wrote this paper. Because NASA funded them. I'm going to explain that. That's why we have such a distrust for all of these things. They're all in cahoots together as far as I can see. Now, it's an unusual mechanism to preserve them in impressions. No. And so now, here's what it's saying. Edicara biota takes its name from something in South Australia. It doesn't mean anything. Fossils are found worldwide. Yes, they're found in my backyard. They say from 540 to 580 million years ago. I say that's absolutely not correct. And I'll show you why I say that. And they're sitting right on top of the surface of the Earth. That's just nonsense. The creatures themselves were as small as a few millimeters, large as 1 meter, and lived in dense, diverse communities on the seafloor. They're saying the whole world is a worldwide layer, so that the whole world was covered by an ocean. Many of them are outright bizarre, this is in quotes, in appearance and do not resemble any organism alive today. Boy, that's a fact. Lydia Tarhan, postdoctoral fellow at Yale and the first author of this study, she says, we would like to understand their relationship. No, they don't. To the complex animals that evolved shortly thereafter. All right, listen to this. Are these organisms, this Edicara name they gave them, are they some sort of failed evolutionary experiment? Yes. These were the giants and the monsters and the dragons that were killed off. It was a failed evolutionary experiment. And they say maybe they even include some of the ancestors today. Yes, they absolutely do. The big part is figuring out how they were able to form. I know exactly how they did, and I make them myself. The animals were entirely soft-bodied. Listen to this. They lived before the evolution of shells, teeth, or bones. They say they're just starting to come out of the slime age. I have them all, everything in giants, exactly what they said from the flood, exactly what they said. And they say those type of things are the only things that typically get fossilized. Now listen to this. What the researchers realized was that the oceans during the time were much richer in dissolved silica because of this impact causing that silica-rich stuff to come to the surface than they are today. It was just they say it was a quirk in the nature, it just happened. It enabled the transformation of the loose sand, for the mud, around the animals to form into rock over a matter of hours or years rather than the usual time frame, thousands of millions of years. It took me 6 months to make some. They were pretty good. Over the course of time, they would get harder and harder and harder, but they stabilized very, very well, very quickly, under the correct conditions. Now, which were the conditions of the flood? Now, the Ediacara organisms, in quotes, were rapidly buried by sand during underwater storm events. What does that mean? Worldwide, rapidly buried by underwater storm events. Just explain that to me, how that happened, if it wasn't one just gigantic worldwide flood. It's a worldwide layer. These organisms were rapidly buried instantly, worldwide. They say by sand. Yeah, I don't care. Go with the sand. Who cares? During underwater storm events, one gigantic underwater storm events rapidly buried them. This process cementing sand grains around them must have happened rapidly. There was a mud, and they boiled, and the mud was the actual flesh of them. Otherwise, by the time the carcasses rotted away, not under these conditions, Lydia, the sand burying them would have simply collapsed, blah, blah, blah. The team conducted this research using detailed microscope-based techniques, exactly what I did, and I showed them all of this. The researchers were able to measure the elemental composition of cements on a micron scale. So was I. I didn't actually do it. I knew I could see what I was looking at. They say they do. I'd like to see the papers, and I'd like to see what they did. But listen to who paid them. And here's Derek Briggs. He's the guy I submitted all my stuff to. A paper co-authored by Ashley Hood, who is a Yale postdoctoral associate. Dale Briggs, who is the professor of geology and geophysics and curator of paleontology at Yale Peabody Museum. He takes a whole page. And then somebody else here, Mary Drozer. Now, Briggs knew every single thing I said. He had all that information much earlier. This is not good for Briggs. It's not good for Yale. Not good at all. And it's not good for academia. They made a terrible mistake by not looking into this. And they are the ones that have destroyed themselves, not us. And the other thing was, I presented all this information to NASA. And guess who paid Briggs to do this? The research-supported National Science Foundation. They always get money from them. A grant from the American Philosophical Society. Yeah, give them some money. Clark Fund. NASA. Why NASA? NASA Exobiology Grant. All right? Because I presented my stuff to NASA years before this as well, when they went up with the Curiosity mission. And I could see it was all biology. I said, you guys got biology all over. The Mars crab is an R's and an artery and a vein. Mars blueberries are interstitium enthesis points. The Yale, what do they call it? The Morse code. The Morse code, Mars Morse code, is interstitium. Stretchy little interstitium straps with balls all over. I saw, I've done dozens and dozens and dozens of videos on this, and they have got me in a box where I'm not allowed to speak, where anybody can listen, and they took credit for it, and NASA paid for it. So that's us. And I mean, I don't know how much, but I'm sure it was significant. And that's just not right to take somebody else's work and present it as their own. The Yale-led team, I mean, they were very clear to say it was a Yale-led team. A Yale-led research team. Well, no. It was a Roger-led research team. And my researchers are all over the world called mudfossil researchers. So that's why we've lost faith in academia. If you didn't lose faith in academia over this, you got a problem with your faith, the ways you believe in things. All right. Now, I know if you're in academia, or if you're... All right, I'm just going to reiterate this. I know I went over this maybe even twice, but the implications of this theory being correct would be far-reaching and challenge many established scientific concepts, virtually everything. Rewriting Earth's history, rock formations totally changed, understanding of fossilization, yes, revised evolutionary timeline, way changed, challenges a common ancestry. Well, I can't say I challenge that. We're going to try to find out. We're going to do some DNA tests. New insights into ancient civilizations, yes. Ancient texts and myths, you can't just discount them like we have done. Possible reinterpretation of archaeology. What do you mean possible? It's total. New biology and chemical paradigms, yes. Nucleophilic invasion and substitution in hot, silica-rich oceans. You can make them yourself. You just have to recreate the conditions. Alternative fossilization process. Well, Yale has signed on to it. I just showed you exceptional preservation. Revised Earth's history and cataclysmic events, yes. I'm not revising it. Velikovsky had it exactly correct about the worldwide flood and catastrophe. But he had a whole different date on it. He had it 1500 BC. They put it 540 million years ago. It's insanity. That's because they put every layer of tissue is considered a layer of sedimentation. Possible Earth scale changes. Yes, Earth itself underwent dramatic changes. Unbelievable. Everything was changed. New perspective on science and evidence. Yes, they have to broaden their scientific methods and look at things correctly from every single angle, not just one. And it challenges how science approaches evidence, particularly in the fields like geology and paleontology. Idea that large organisms could become petrified in ways that looks like rock would require new methodologies and models for identifying, studying fossils and geological formations. That's already been done. Impact on skepticism and scientific debate. Since mud fossil theory is considered pseudoscience by mainstream scientific community, its acceptance would dramatically alter the relationship between scientific research and fringe theories. That's what they're worried about. Because then they think everybody's going to come on this flat earth stuff and all that crazy stuff. This is material evidence. That's all I show. You make of it what you will. And they're going to say, oh, don't let them talk about that stuff because it's going to really mess everything up and make it look like everything's crazy. It also sparked a debate about the reliability of scientific consensus and the acceptance of new, unconventional ideas. Yes, they won't let it spark that debate because they won't let me present the evidence. In conclusion, if mud fossil theory were proven true, it would revolutionize many scientific fields, including geology, biology, paleontology, study of ancient civilizations, on and on and on. It'd lead to the rethinking of Earth's geological history, evolutionary process, understanding of ancient life forms. However, it is important to note such a radical change would require strong empirical evidence. Until that evidence is presented, the theory remains highly controversial and outside of mainstream scientific thought. They won't think about it. That is the problem. I have all the evidence. It's denied, and they deny it on a basis that it just can't be true, and we're the experts. If they're the experts and they can stand up to my evidence, let them stand up. You're being scammed. If you're going to school right now for anything almost, unless it's a trade, how to repair roads and build houses and computer program, all this stuff, yes. All that stuff, it's a trade. But if you go to learn what they call a core curriculum, you're just being lied to. Right? And at this point, it's just nothing but lies. At one point, I gave them the benefit of the doubt that they understood, that they just didn't understand. Now they understand, they just want to take credit for it or deny it so that they can still stay like they're really smart and this never happened. You can't deny this forever. It just can't be done. And the worse it gets, the worse it gets for them. And it's getting really bad. Why did CERN upgrade to use CMOS for detection of particles?
CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research,
Oh yeah, here it goes.
upgraded to use CMOS, complementary metal oxide semiconductor, technology for particle detection primarily to improve the performance, efficiency, and capability of their detectors. This decision is part of the ongoing efforts to enhance data collection and analysis in high-energy physics experiments like those conducted at the Large Hadron Collider, LHC. Here are the key reasons why CERN chose to adopt CMOS technology for particle detection. 1. Higher precision and efficiency. Improved resolution. CMOS detectors offer higher precision in tracking and detecting particles.
All right, you don't have to listen to all this, but higher precision, faster response, lower power consumption, cost effectiveness, advances in sensor design, enhanced data readout and process. Everything is better radiation resistance. That's why they have radiation tolerance. Here's the problem. Particle detectors at CERN are exposed to intense radiation due to high energy collisions with big particles. We're getting high energy collisions, but with tiny particles. So they use big particles in experiments like those at LHC. CMOS, which is these sensors, have improved radiation tolerance compared to older technologies, making them better suited for use in environments with high radiation levels. Over time, researchers have developed radiation-hardened CMOS technologies which are specifically designed to withstand the extreme conditions found in particle accelerators. Exactly what I said to CERN. I said, you're just using big things. You're hitting too hard. Integration with digital systems, all kinds of stuff. Conclusion, CERN's decision to upgrade a CMOS technology for particle detection, driven by the need for higher performance, better efficiency, lower power consumption, improved scalability, cost effectiveness. It's 1,000 times better than anything they were doing before. Plus, they had the observer effect. The advancements in CMOS technology over the past few decades have made it an ideal choice for high-energy physics experiments. We're using the highest energy you got. We're actually splitting, causing fission and fusion using light. Its precision, speed, radiation resistance are critical. Using CMOS sensors, CERN can whatever they do here, can enhance its particle detection capabilities and improve the overall data collection. All they're looking for is the particles that I showed them. They're looking for the red and the black, or the green and the black, or the blue and the black. It's the radiation one attached to the dark matter, and it is dark matter. And there's no reason they shouldn't be able to understand this, none whatsoever. And this is why they refuse to. I'm blocked from Fermilab, and I have never had any response from any of them. And I've tried all of them, up to the Department of Energy, all kinds of everybody. And once you're blocked, you're blocked. They will not turn themselves around. It doesn't matter how much evidence you have. And I have all the evidence. Cannot be denied. And this is why we've lost confidence in our institutions, in academia, and anybody that's in power that's holding the reins. And they say, you do what we tell you or we'll ruin your life. And that's what's happened in academia. Absolute tragedy. It's time to change this. It's got to change. And, we've got to be wise in the way we make claims and say these crazy things. That's why I was so upset about the flat earth thing, because it really literally destroyed my research. You know, I mean, if you can't look and see from the space station, and you think that's a conspiracy, and even now when they went down and they showed that the Earth has a 24-hour day at the poles, now the flat earthers saying, oh, that's all fake, they did it all fake to make us look bad. You can't win in that arena, so please don't speak about it on my channel. I don't care what you believe. If you want to see what I show, that's fine. But I'm not going to have it. I'm sorry. It ruined me the last time, made it just seem like a complete nonsense. And I will not have it again. That's all. No offense intended. Believe what you will. But don't discuss it here. It's a meaningless argument. All right? Thank you. I love you all.